Mason-Nguyen, and I'm going to do a cooking video on a dish called Bánh Cuốn. It is a steamed Vietnamese rice roll that is a favorite of my husband's, and he requested that I make it this weekend. And so I'm going to show you how I make Bánh Cuốn and show you a little hack that I do to make it easier to assemble and make. Bánh Cuốn is something that's very popular with street vendors in Vietnam. You can find it at many street vendors, and they will vary their toppings as well as the insides and the way they roll the steamed roll. But basically they're all at heart pretty much the same. It's like a rice roll, rice flour roll with pork and mushroom in it. And today I'm gonna make that and show you what a delicious dish that this is. So the first thing we're gonna do is make the insides of the roll. My husband is very fond of shrimp, so along with the ground pork and the wood ear mushrooms, like the black mushrooms, we're gonna put shrimp in with it because it's just something that he really enjoys, and it does make it better in my opinion too. So what we're gonna do is fry up some ground pork here that I had left over from another dish. And I'm using small portions because I'm just cooking and I tonight. And these are not the type of, it's a wonderful dish, Bánh Cuốn, but it is not something that I think really does well as leftovers. You have to eat it fresh. That's the best way to eat it. So I'm gonna put the ground pork in there. And I personally am not going to put any fish sauce in. A lot of people will put fish sauce in there, but because the sauce that goes over the entire dish has fish sauce, I don't think it's needed to be put in the inside as well, because we'll get that later. But what I am going to do is put a little bit of pepper. The fish sauce already has salt, so I'm not going to add any more salt to it because we try to watch our salt. But I am going to put a little bit of black pepper in it. And while that is cooking, I'm going to turn up my heat a little bit on my steamer. I'm working with what I have, so I took a wok, put a little bit of water in it, and I put one of my steamers in there, and you'll see what I'm going to do with that later to steam these rolls. Okay, so I have soaked some wood ear mushrooms right there. I bought a package and I soaked them for about a half an hour. They are already kind of pre-cut into strips. You can buy them where they're big ones and then you chop them yourself. This one's already kind of been chopped up. So these are my wood ear mushrooms that's going to go in the dish. Gives it kind of an umami taste to it, very savory. Vietnamese use wood ear mushrooms in a lot of things like soups and egg rolls, and in this case, Bánh Cuốn. All right, so I'm gonna step over my server here, my helper. I'm gonna put it in here with the ground pork. Turn up the heat just a little bit to get it going here. There we go. And pretty soon I'm going to add my shrimp in there. Now a lot of people will also add, it's entirely up to you, they'll add diced shallots. My husband doesn't really like not mushrooms, but onions very much, so I'm kind of leaving that out. But a lot of people do shallots, and then for some extra crunch, they'll put water chestnuts or daikon or jicama in there, but I don't have that in my kitchen right now, so I'm not gonna put it in there. All right, that's getting good and cooked. Now I'm gonna add the shrimp in. I've cut up some shrimp.
Where can you find those ingredients?
You can find them in your local grocery store. The wood ear mushrooms might be a little harder to find, and you might have to find that in an Asian market here in town. All right, we're going to get that cooked up. And this is really what's going to go inside the little steamed crepes. And while that's cooking, I want to explain something about these crepes and what I do to make it work for me. So the crepes are normally made with rice flour, tapioca flour, some salt and water. And you make a thin batter, and then you have to put it in a pan and make a real thin crepe, and it's I really suck at it. I'm not very good. It always tears, and it's very frustrating. I usually have to make 10 of them to make 2 good ones. So I kind of did a little bit of detective work and found out there was an excellent hack in order to make these rolls, and it really worked well, and according to my husband was delicious. And that is rice paper. You're probably familiar with those if you've ever eaten a fresh spring roll. This is what they use, and this is what I'm going to use to make the crepes. And so it should be easy. So I'll show you in a second how to do that. Okay, so I'm going to put this away. All right, and this is still cooking. Hi! How are you? Oh, wonderful! You did such a good job. Oh my gosh. It's quick too. Quick. Put inside the roll. The Bánh meaning cake, Cuốn meaning roll. So that's just kind of what it means in Vietnamese. And this is my special hack. I'm going to take rather than make the batter and pour it out and pray that it's thin enough and try to flip it and do all this stuff, I'm going to do this hack. I'm going to take this and I'm going to get it wet in some warm water. So this is going to soften it. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to take a little bit of olive oil and I'm going to brush my cutting board so nothing sticks to it. And I'm also going to brush a plate where these little rolls are going to go on in just a moment. Just so nothing sticks, because this paper is very thin, very delicate, and we want to make sure this is going to work. So I'm getting it all wet, and I would say you're going to let this soak in here about a good 10 to 15 seconds. Just enough to soften it up, but still be able to work with it. You'll get a feel for it after you do it a few times. And this is how you do it when you make spring rolls too, fresh spring rolls. But this is something else we're making here. I feel a couple hard spots, still crispy, so I'm gonna make sure I get them wet and pliable because we want them to steam good. Okay. It'll be more like 30 seconds you leave it in there. Okay. See how thin that is? All right. See that? Ooh, I can't see you, but anyway, you can see it's really thin. All right, I'm going to lay it here. Pull it out a little bit. Hopefully you can see that even though it's on something light. All right, and we're going to assemble it. We're going to take some of the innards, some of the inside thing I made. Make these nice and fat. All right. Okay, you just put that right there. You take the rice paper, you fold it over like that. See that? And now we're going to go like this. It's almost similar to an egg roll. Okay, got all the innards in there. You can kind of see through it, it's translucent. I've got my oiled plate, so I'm going to set it on there. And we're going to do another one. Do you think you want 2 or 3, Tan? You want 3. You're hungry. Okay. So we're going to do 3 for a serving. So let's do this again. You see I get it in there. The water is warm. I think warm water works better than cool water with something like this. And we're just gonna, of course, if I had something lighter, I wouldn't have to do this, but you know, I'm working with what I have. While that's doing that, I'm just gonna get a little more brush of olive oil just to make sure we're gonna be able to have a working surface. Get that nice and pliable here. There we go. That feels very good. Okay. All right, let's get this. There we go. All right, let's get the innards in there. This goes pretty quick once you have everything cooked and assembled. There we go. Fold over the sides. What a great hack, huh? Don't have to mess with crepes or anything. Put it in my greased one, and we'll do one more. And then we're almost in business here. Put a little more oil there. I use olive oil. You could use vegetable oil. It's not that important which kind of oil you use. I just like the properties and qualities of olive oil. And like I mentioned, this is like a street food that you often see in Vietnam. I don't think many of the Vietnamese restaurants here in town actually make it. I don't know why it's not on their menu. Maybe because the crepes are so hard. But hey, if they did this little hack, they could probably make a lot of these and it'd be a very popular dish. And it's gluten-free. I will tell you that right now. It is a gluten-free dish. That's a plus for me. And I think it's a great dish for the summertime because as you're about to see in a little bit, it's going to have a lot of herbs and nice cool veggie topping on it. All right, here we go. It's a beautiful thing. Put the guts in there. Fold the sides. It doesn't have to be picture perfect. You just want it to hold the insides. You don't have to exactly be the same length. Unless you're trying to really impress somebody. Look at that. That is beautiful. So there are 3 bánh cuốn there, and what we're going to do is steam this now. I've got my water boiling in my wok. You see the steam? Thanks. And I can tell you right now the steam is hot. There we go. That's better. And I'm going to steam these for a few minutes. There we go. That's in my steamer. We're going to give it a few minutes to steam, and while we do that, I'm going to show you something that is going to go on top. Bánh cuốn has bean sprouts, cucumber. Now you can vary the toppings to what you like, but this is just typically what it has and what we use. And I didn't make a lot of herbs, but I've got Thai basil, mint, and a little bit of lettuce and cilantro from my garden in there, believe it or not. And so that's going to go on there too. And then to the side of bánh cuốn is chả lúa, which is like a pork roll. I'll show you real quick here. It comes like in a little roll. I've already cut off about 1/3 of it. But it's a little pork roll that you can buy at the Asian market called chả lúa. And Vietnamese love to eat this on their banh mi sandwiches. They like to eat it in soups. They like to eat it with bánh cuốn. And it's traditionally served with bánh cuốn, so you would want to make sure you have that. And then finally there's going to be a topping called nước chấm. And nước chấm is it's the same thing that I made in my previous video to dip my egg rolls in. So I do have a recipe for that in my egg roll recipe, but basically to recap it, it's fish sauce, sugar, lime juice, red pepper, and a little bit of water. Sometimes people will chop up carrots and put that in there too. I just didn't have any carrots today. And also you put garlic in it. And depending on how garlicky you like it, that's how much garlic you put in. I put a moderate amount, but there's a good amount in there. A little goes a long way when you're talking about garlic. And this is gonna go on top of the whole dish. And then finally, most people who make Bánh Cuốn will put fried shallots or fried onions on top of the dish as well. So our Bánh Cuốn crepes have been steaming for a few minutes. And so we're going to take those out delicately. Be very careful. Steam can burn just as much as boiling water. I'm going to put mine in there delicately. Let that steam for a little bit. You've got these nice steamed rolls. Let's bring it over here and let's dress it up. All right, we got our nước chấm. Let's get our toppings here. We're gonna do some cucumber. Is that all right up just on the top, babe?
Mm-hmm.
There, we got some herbs. We got some bean sprouts. Now you could blanch these, and I probably should have blanched them, but I think you'll be fine with if they're not blanched.
No, they don't normally.
Normally they blanch them.
No.
Well, they do. And then we got our chow lua on the side. And I could arrange that real pretty and picture perfect, but you know, I got a hungry man. I gotta get this going here. Got that? Okay. Look how nice that is for the summertime. And how healthy that is. Incredibly healthy. And then we're just gonna put a little bit of the fried onions on top, which you can make homemade, or you could just buy a package of fried onions. All right, and the plate's still a bit warm, so just to be on the safe side, I'm gonna hold it with this. You can see this is Bánh Cuốn. This is really gonna fill him up. So we got little steamed Vietnamese rice rolls, and we're gonna either pour or he's going to dip it into, you know, take a piece and dip it in here, however he likes to eat it. But the sauce is integral to the recipe. It's very important to have a really good nước chấm sauce. And so I'm gonna go ahead and feed my husband his requested dish of Bánh Cuốn. And I hope you try it. And if you do, let me know how that hack worked for you, because it sure worked for me and allowed me to actually make it and enjoy making it. Thank you so much. So you just pour it right on over it. There's no dipping for you. You're just...
Not necessary. Thank you, honey.
You can eat it with chopsticks, or you can do the fork method. He likes to, of course, use a fork.